Welcome back, everybody. We've got yet another great college basketball game. College basketball is just treating us so well as fans to get this whole season started. We've got a top 10 matchup, number 3 UConn versus number 7 BYU at TD Garden in the Hall of Fame series. It's going to be a great game. Just headed into it. The excitement is high around both teams. For UConn, both teams, in fact, have a great trio, which is not likely throughout college basketball. But these two teams are spoiled in that fact. UConn's got Solo Ball, Terrace Reed, and Alex Caravan as their trio. Solo Ball's averaged 18.3, Terrace Reed 19.5, Alex Caravan 17.3. And all of them are just not only impacting the game with their scoring, but also with rebounding and assists, which is honestly, in my opinion, more important for a whole team aspect. Yeah, it's great to score tons of points, but if you have a bad offensive night, you got to figure out how to impact the game somewhere else.
Yeah, and like you were saying, Terrace Reed is averaging a double-double, which is more impressive than averaging 20-plus points like you touched on. And these three are going to need to step up in these next few games. They have 5 ranked opponents in the next 6 games.
Wow.
And most of these teams are on a heater. They play BYU like we're talking about. I know they struggled a little bit against Delaware, but they're still a pretty good team.
Yeah.
And then they play Arizona, who will face
UCLA. On fire right now.
And will face UCLA coming up. And then they face Illinois, who just upsetted Texas Tech at home. So, and there's more. They play Kansas, and then they play one more, but they aren't exactly on fire like these 3 teams are. So it's going to be a bit of a gauntlet. And the thing is, this UConn team doesn't play many more ranked opponents, being from just being from the Big East. They really only, the big guys really only St. John's and Creighton. But they really got to step it up in these next few games.
Yeah, which kind of, when I was preparing for this, what I thought about was how under the radar this team is.
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't for the name UConn, you wouldn't really know about this team just because they don't get a lot of press. And I think that's a lot just because they don't have a highly ranked incoming freshman. I mean, especially when you look at BYU, you got AJ and coming in, who's the number 1 overall recruit, which is probably the highest BYU recruit they've gotten and maybe ever and definitely for a long time. And a lot of other schools, for that matter, nationally have great freshman classes. And UConn's just sitting here 3rd ranked through a week at the of college basketball, just doing their thing. Dan Hurley's got this team, I think, right where he wants them. And I just thought that was a little shocking to me because, I mean, these are back-to-back national champions, 2 years ago, and nobody's really talking about them. But I wanted to touch on the trio again. This is, I mean, Caravan and Ball were a big part of the team last year.
Yeah.
Reed was a little bit, but he didn't start. He only started 1 game. So he was kind of like their 6th man, which is fair. This year he's going to have to step up into a bigger role. He started his first two games. That he's only played 2 games, so he started his first 2 games, and done well so far. And if he continues that, along with Ball and Caravan taking up their slack, this could be a very scary team. And I think I've already said this, but just to reiterate, a duo is scary enough in college basketball, but when you have 3 guys that you have to worry about, and when they all have different parts of their game that complement one another, it's a scary thing to go up against, and that's exactly what UConn has on their hands.
And that also goes for both ways. But
yes,
I think these 2
teams,
teams,
I was going to touch on later.
Yeah, but I think these 2 teams, just because the fact that they both have a trio, match up really well against each other. I do think UConn has a slight mismatch because of their center and Terrace Reed. You know, they have their guard and Solo Ball and their forward and Caravan, but this BYU team has 2 guards, you know. So, but they don't have exactly a standout center. So I do think UConn kind of stretches their defense out a little bit in a different way. I think they stretch it out vertically, whereas I think BYU stretches UConn's defense out horizontally with the 2 guards. So I think it'll be a great matchup. I hope this BYU team can play a little better than Delaware than they did against Delaware. They were really trailing the whole probably the first 25 to 30 minutes of the game, then really took over there in the final 10 minutes. I knew it was over once AJ hit a 3 right out of half to make it a tie game, but it was rough to see them struggle to an 0-2 Delaware team at the time. And I just want to touch on Kevin Young, how good he's done in his first few years here. He took over the job in 2024, and made the tournament last year. Ended up losing to Alabama, which was a worthy opponent. But this year they're averaging 84 points per game, which is not bad. I know it's early, but the thing I like to look at this early is not necessarily points per game. I like to look at their shooting percentage.
Yes,
they're not doing too great. They average 48% from the field. But I would like to touch on that. AJ's averaging 60 from the field, but on that same token, he's averaging 60 from the line. So, kind of just not that they're rusty, but just kind of got to get in the mid-season shape here. I mean, especially for UConn's doing great. They're shooting 55 from the field right now, so they're pretty much in mid-season form. BYU has some time as their ranked opponents come later in the season.
Yeah, just to touch on the trio's stats, Richie Saunders is averaging 20.3, 7 rebounds, and 51 from the field, 47 from three, which is insane. I didn't check how many he has from 3-point from the three, but I wouldn't imagine it's a lot unless he's just absolutely on fire, which he could be. Yeah. AJ's got 18.7, 7 rebounds. Like you said, 57 from the field and 61 from the line, which is absolutely not what you want out of one of your star players.
Complete opposites.
Not great at all. And then Robert White, he has averaged 18.3, 5.3 rebounds, and 4.3 assists. So they all have different aspects to their game. It seems like AJ and Richie are more comparable, and then Robert White is more of like, I don't exactly know what his position is.
He's a guard.
He's a what?
Guard.
Okay. Seems like he plays the point guard more than any of these other guys with that 4.3 assist number, which is higher than the others with about 2 assists.
Well, it's interesting to mention that Richie's the leading rebounder on this BYU team. Obviously, him and AJ are tied with around 7. But for a point guard to be your leading rebounder, 1 is great, but 2 is not good at the same time. You know, you want to have and again, AJ is tied, but just you want to have a guy that kind of stands out, and hopefully AJ can continue to rack up the boards. And I think that's just partly due to the fact that he's on the perimeter a lot for a forward. So I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah. So both Kevin, you touched on this a little bit. Both Kevin Young and Dan Hurley have done a great job building their teams. Which team do you have more confidence in throughout this season? Not only in this game, but throughout this season and deep into March.
I have to have more confidence in UConn just because it's a more experienced team. I mean, some of these guys have been on here for at least one championship run. I have a lot of belief in Dan Hurley, not to take away from what Kevin Young's done so far, but just a young coach, young team, and
young last name.
For sure. I just think the BYU team is going to need a little bit of time. Yeah. It does, like I've mentioned, it does help that their opponents are coming in the later half of the year. I mean, we're going to see real fast what UConn's made of with these 5 ranked games in the next 6. So I will have to put my faith more in UConn, and they also haven't given me a reason to not believe. You know, BYU just struggled against Delaware, but I will have to go to UConn on that.
Yeah, I'm pretty much right with you. I mean, I'm a huge believer in Dan Hurley. I know a lot of people don't like him just for kind of how he acts, which is fair. But then again, a lot of the best coaches in history kind of have that.
You have to have an edge.
Yeah, a little bit of an edge, a little bit of just character about them, which is fine. I mean, some people don't like it. Some people do. Just kind of whatever way he rubs you. But I love him. I think he's a great coach, and I do have a lot of confidence in this team. I wouldn't be shocked if they win the national championship. I was a big believer during their second championship. I thought they were going to go back-to-back. Not many did, but they did. And I think, honestly, what the reason for this year of them not being talked about a lot is because they didn't struggle last year, but they weren't as dominant as they had been coming off their back-to-back national championships, which, I mean, who is dominant after two national championship runs? But I do have a lot of belief in this team. Like he said, they're experienced. They have the chemistry. Now, BYU has the ability to be like a UConn, especially if this core stays together. I know Saunders is a senior, but if AJ can continue to get game reps and build chemistry with the rest of these guys, they could be right up there with UConn. But I will have to go with UConn and who I believe in more. And then one more thing, what's your bold prediction for this game? It could be anything.
My bold prediction is that this BYU team comes out firing. I don't think it's going to happen, but that's why I'm saying it, because it's bold. I think this BYU team comes out firing, and I think they will shut down. The main guy I'm looking at is Terrace Reed, just because I know AJ's more of a point guard forward. He plays on the perimeter a lot. So I think my bold take is BYU is going to come out firing and look dominant. And then my bold take also is that UConn comes back.
Okay. My bold take is kind of the opposite of that. My bold take is that UConn comes out dominating.
Really?
And AJ struggles. And
that is
the
bold.
reason I think that is just because you look at his shooting percentage. They haven't played anybody great. They played Villanova the first game out, which is a worthy opponent. But since then, they haven't played anyone great. And for him to have 50, his 57 from the field is pretty good. I'll give him that. But 60 from the line is not good. In a game that you know is going to be physical and most likely will come down to the wire, it's not
as most games do.
Yes, that's not what I want. Who I want at the line, and I just think that overall he's kind of going to struggle. It's kind of going to be like a welcome to college moment
For sure.
Playing UConn. This is one of the best teams in the country. So my bold take is AJ doesn't have a terrible game, but has a mediocre game, and ultimately UConn gets the win. So I know we touched on it, but who do you got winning and why?
I've got UConn just because of the fact that this BYU team as a team doesn't shoot very well from the line, like we just said. It's going to come down to that. And then as well as just their percentage from the field isn't very good. Under 50% is not great. And then I just think that I like what UConn has offensively with a guard, and a forward, and a center being their star players, whereas BYU only has two guards and a forward. But I do think there's a way for BYU to win this game. Just coming off the Delaware game and just looking at the matchups, I just think that UConn's better suited for this.
Yeah, I'm going on the UConn train here too, for all of those reasons, and just for coaching. Dan Hurley, I think it's fair to say Dan Hurley's a better coach than Kevin Young, and nothing against Kevin Young. It's just Dan Hurley's one of the best coaches in college basketball right now, and in big games, coaching matters, experience matters, and both of those favor UConn. And so for that reason, I'm going to have to go UConn. And I'll throw out a score prediction. I've got it going 82-78 in favor of UConn.
Wow. I think it's going to be a little more high scoring. I think it's going to be 92-85 UConn.
Wow, okay. Well,
Once again, I picked the average points somehow on accident, but that's what I think it's going to be.
It's not a bad guess. Well, that's all we have for you guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the start to college basketball as much as we have. Thank you guys for all your support. We're so close to 1,000 subscribers, so please click that subscribe button. It'd help us out a lot. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.